Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tom Clark over at TFCIV MMA. Hopefully, everyone is having a great start to the week, but it's fight week again. We got an awesome card coming to you this weekend, UFC San Antonio. I'm really excited for this one, guys. Marlon Chito Vera versus the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen. It's going to be an awesome fight in the bantamweight division. Both of these guys are pretty close to title contention. Cheeto obviously never fought for a title before. Corey Sandhagen does have a loss against Aljamain, and then he obviously lost to Piotr Jan in his interim title fight back in Abu Dhabi. So lots of awesome fights in the making with a win for these guys, and I'm really excited to see it. We have a very technical striker in Corey Sandhagen, who also has some power in his kicks and knees, versus a guy in Chito Vera who is just a sniper and will put you out. So it's going to be really excited. But first of all, let's start kind of on the undercards. We have Haley Cohen coming in as a minus 125 favorite versus Tamarez Vidal. Vidal is coming in about plus 105, so it's nearly pick 'em odds. Haley Cohen has a win on Dana White's Contender Series, but Pascal is 1-0 in the UFC. So we have Cohen making her debut, but Vidal is not the most experienced. So it's going to be pretty good. I'm excited to see it. But give me Haley Cohen at this one, especially at minus 125 odds. I'm excited to see it. Should be a good fight to start off the night. After that, we have Victor Altamirano versus Vinicius Salvador. Altamirano comes in about a plus 100, so even money basically, and Salvador at minus 120. Really excited for this one. It's in the flyweight division, so both of these guys should go out there, put on a good fight. And I don't know. It's tough on this one. Altamirano's coming off the win against Da Silva, but Salvador had an awesome performance on the Contender Series. So at minus 120, give me Salvador there, guys. After that, we got Manuel Torres coming in about a minus 150 versus Trey Ogden, who's coming in about a plus 130. Trey Ogden, obviously, 1-1 his last two. Had the loss against Jordan Levitt, but then had the impressive win against El Huber his last time out. And obviously, Manuel Torres coming off the win off Frank Camacho. So, kind of torn on this one, and the odds, I think, should be about where they're at. And give me Manuel Torres at minus 150. Should be good there. Then we have CJ Vergara coming in at minus 240 going up against Daniel Lacerda. Vergara has had a win against Clayton Rodriguez that has aged very well, especially after how good Clayton looked at UFC 284. But he does also have the loss against Tatsu, and I believe he lost to Ode Osborne as well. Lacerda, on the other hand, who's coming in about a plus 200 in this one, is 0-3 in the UFC. Hasn't been able to get a win yet. So he's going first for his first win. Vergara's looking to get back in the win column. And at minus 240, give me CJ Vergara on that one. Then we got Trevin Giles versus Preston Parsons. Trevin Giles making his jump back down to welterweight. He obviously did have some decent success at 185. Holds a win over Roman Dolidze, but also faced DDP, Dricus Du Plessis, and did lose that one. So he's beaten some big names. He's lost to some big names. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in this one. Parsons also, talking about losing to bigger names, he holds a loss against Daniel Rodriguez, but does have the win over Evan Elder. So excited to see how this one plays out. Should be an entertaining fight. Parsons comes in as a slight favorite at minus 110, but Giles is minus 110 as well. So it's pick 'em odds. But give me Trevin Giles here. After that, we go to one of the fights that I am most excited about this weekend, guys. We got Steven Ocho Peterson. As you guys know, I had Steven on the show about 3-4 weeks ago at this point, and we talked about his fight last time out, which was a very close fight that a lot of people thought he won against Julian Erosa. He comes in as a slight favorite in this one at minus 165. His opponent, Lucas Alexander, coming at plus 140. Ocho has the experience in this one, guys, in the UFC. Alexander's one fight was a loss to Joanderson Brito, but obviously Ocho is coming off a loss, but also holds some great wins over guys like Chase Hooper and such. So with the experience, with just talking to him, he's really motivated. Give me Steven Ocho Peterson, and I do think he finishes this fight. He saw what happened his last time out. The judges kind of screwed him over, and I think he gets it done this time with a finish in Texas in front of the hometown crowd for him. After that, we got another good fight here. We got Daniel Pineda versus Tucker Lutz. Both these guys coming off losses. Pineda's only 4-5 in the UFC. I shouldn't be saying only. I mean, he's in the UFC. He's still a beast, but hasn't looked the best. And he's coming off a loss against Cub Swanson. Lutz is coming off a loss, but it's against Sabatini, so that's not one to hang your hat on. But Lutz comes in as a sizable favorite on this one at minus 280. Pineda comes in at plus 235. So give me Tucker Lutz, especially at minus 280. But should be a good fight here, so I'm excited to see it. And then we go into the main card. Lots of entertaining fights on this one, and it starts out with one. We have Chedi Njokuani. I know I pronounced the last name wrong. I always botch his name. He comes in as a slight favorite at minus 155 versus Albert Duraev, who comes in at plus 135. Obviously, Chedi's last fight out, he was winning the majority of the fight, but then Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez just put it on him. And that was one of the most disgusting cuts we've ever seen that Chetty put on RoboCop. RoboCop's whole face was just split open between the eyes. But RoboCop fought back, and we did see Chetty did gas a little bit in that fight. So that does make me a little skeptical. Duraev's coming off a loss as well, though, against Joaquin Buckley his last time out. Only 1-1 in the UFC. And his win against Roman Kopylov has aged very well because Kopylov had an awesome performance against Puna Soriano. So at plus 135, I got to go with the dog. Give me Albert Duraev on that one. Then, after this, we got a fight I think we are all excited for. We got Alex Perez coming in at about a plus 150 favorite versus Manel Kopp. Manel's coming in about a minus 175, I saw. So he's the favorite. Sorry, Perez the underdog. Kind of a little botch on my part. Perez is coming off 2 losses, but they're against the best in the division. He got beat by Davison Figueiredo, and he got annihilated by Alejandro Pantoja. Manel Kopp coming off the win against Dvorak. I think he's 3-2 now in the UFC. Had kind of a rough start, but he's kind of gotten back on his feet, and that's why he's the favorite in this one. I don't know. It's tough to bet on Perez after these last 2 performances. He really hasn't looked the best. But then you got to remember, it was against such a high level of competition. Can you really hold those ones against him? I'm really torn. I really don't know which way to go on this one. But I like Manel Kopp, so give me Manel Kopp at minus 175 here. After that, we go to the women's division. Flyweight has just been cruising as of late. Alexa Grasso upsetting Valentina Shevchenko. Erin Blanchfield blasting onto the scene with the wins in the last 6 months over Molly McCann and Jessica Andrade. And Macy Barber is another one of those prospects that a lot of people were very high on. I'm pretty high on Macy. I'm not as high as a lot of people. I do think she lost the Miranda Maverick fight. I don't think that's one to hang your hat on because I'm very high on Miranda Maverick. I think she's a great prospect, great fighter. But I do think Macy has shown in the past not being the best. She's 6-2 in the UFC. Like I said, in my opinion, should be 5-3. And Andrea Lee's coming off a loss as well against Viviane Arujau. So it's going to be a good fight. With Andrea Lee coming at plus 230, that does shock me. Macy's minus 275. I think that's too steep a price to pay as a gambler on Macy Barber, but I would still pick her to win this fight. So give me Macy Barber, most likely by decision. Speaking of entertaining fights, speaking of all that kind of stuff, what better way to translate into a Nate the Train Landwehr fight than that? His last time out against David Onama was one of the best performances you will see entertainment-wise. It wasn't technical, it wasn't pretty, but it was goddamn entertaining, that's for sure. Onama was a big favorite in that fight, and he came out looking like it. But then Nate the Train clawed his way back, got the decision win, and he's going up against Austin Lingo, who's also been pretty successful in the UFC, had a W his last time out, but that last time out was almost 2 years ago in 2021. So a long layoff for Austin Lingo. He was supposed to fight last week, but his opponent pulled out. So this is going to be a good one. Nate was obviously set to fight Alex Caceres, so that's another pull out there. So both these guys getting matched up. And I really love Nate Landwehr, and I love betting Nate Landwehr. I don't like betting Nate Landwehr at minus 225. So at those odds, give me Austin Lingo. If I were a betting man, pick-wise, I'm still going Nate Landwehr, but I do think I wouldn't be surprised at all if Austin Lingo won this fight, and the odds should be a lot closer than they are. After that, we go to the women's bantamweight division, or sorry, Yeah, women's bantamweight division. I'm sorry. We got Holly Holm. She's coming in after a performance against Ketlin Vieira, where a lot of people think she won that fight, and she's going up against Yana Santos. Yana's obviously taken some time off, married Thiago Santos, had a child, and had a loss against Irene Aldana her last time out. But that's a win that's aged pretty well because it looks like Irene's going to be getting the next title shot. So it'll be interesting to see on this one. Holly Holm is getting up there in years, but every time, like last time out, she showed great clinch work and such. So it's going to be interesting to see how she looks in this one overall. Yana's probably going to look good. She's had those good wins against Ketlin Vieira and such. But I'm going to pick Holly Holm. I wouldn't bet her at minus 250 because I think that's too steep a price. But I think everything Yana does well, Holly Holm does just a tad bit better. So give me Holly Holm for the pick on that one. And now we go into the main event. This is a fight I'm really excited for, guys. I think it has a lot of potential to be one of the best fights of the year. I know it's tough to say fight of the year after last week with Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje. That fight was guaranteed fight of the year, and it delivered even more than we thought. But this one has all the potential in the world. I don't know if I agree with the odds being as wide as they are. I do favor Corey Sandhagen. I think this fight being in an arena with the bigger octagon plays a huge factor. We all know how this fight is going to go. Corey's going to be touching him. Corey's going to be landing some shots. What it comes down to is can Cheeto hit him with those big blows that he does. Rob Font was touching Cheeto up, but at the end of every round, Cheeto was knocking him down, stealing the round, getting it done. And then against Dominic Cruz, same thing. Dominic was winning the rounds, but Cheeto lands these big shots, and he put Dom out. So I think Sandman will have a lot of success. I think Sandman will definitely land more strikes in this fight. But it comes down to can Cheeto land those big shots and put him out. At dog money, I feel like you have to go Cheeto. I ran a Twitter poll yesterday as well. The majority of the people are picking Cheeto to win. I'm still so torn. It's tough to pick against Corey Sandhagen, but I look at kind of what Piotr Jan did, where Corey had some success early, but once Jan downloaded the data, he had the success late. He was able to knock him down. And I think Cheeto and Jan are very similar in that way, where they're both slow starters. They both kind of download that data, and then they go from there. So this is tough to pick. I really hate that I gotta pick it. I know any of you guys who watch Yannick Florian like I do, you saw Kenny Florian just didn't even pick the fight because he was so torn on it. But heck, I gotta go with some stones. Go with Cheeto Vera. I'll go Cheeto. I've picked against him a couple times his last time out. I've bet against him because he's been a big favorite in a lot of these fights, and I've said, oh, maybe there's some value on his opponent, but he just keeps getting it done. And I don't know, I could just see this being similar to the Font fight. I know Corey's way more talented than Rob Font, but I mean, Rob Font landed all this volume, and then Cheeto just hits him with those big strikes. I could see this being very similar to that. And as much as I love Corey, he looked good against Song Yadong. He looked good against Piotr Jan, but he lost that fight. He looked good against TJ, but he lost that fight. So, like, it seems like every time he faces the top competition, it's a close fight. So, when damage trumps all in the scoring criteria, if it's going to be a close fight, give me Marlon Chito Vera. But going to be a great night of fights regardless, guys. I'm excited. I hope y'all have a great rest of the weekend. We'll see. We have weigh-ins tomorrow. Hopefully everyone makes weight, no scale issues, and let's just hope for a great night of fights. Then after that, we get a week off. Well, not a week off. We have Gamebred's boxing, and that should be really good. Anthony Pettis versus Roy Jones Jr. And then, obviously, in about 2 weeks from Saturday, we have UFC 287 in Miami. So pumped for this one. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys, and let me know what you think.